Hey, good morning and welcome. Sorry I've missed you for the last couple of days. I just felt like I was kind of out of bullets and needed some time to kind of recover, and um, been a lot of really busy activity as we continue to deal with all the different things that have affected all of our lives through the COVID. I don't want to make myself sound like I'm going through it with more difficulty than anybody else. I understand that every one of us are going through some tough times, and so I appreciate you giving me a few days off, and I hope that we'll continue on with these kind of daily devotionals and the word of encouragement. In fact, part of the reason I wanted to pick this up again today was something I read in the Psalms this morning, and in fact it was in Psalm 112, where the psalmist makes the statement. He says in verse 1, "Praise the Lord, how blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who greatly delights in his commandments." And then he goes on to talk about what those blessings are. But part of it I thought was really interesting, because he says further on in verse 7 that this man will not fear evil tidings. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. His heart is upheld, and he will not fear until he looks with satisfaction on his adversaries, and he is given freely to the poor. It's an interesting thing to say. What does having giving freely to the poor have to do with the fact that we're not moved by evil tidings? Well, what evil tidings do is they tend to cause us to draw in and turn our focus upon ourselves and become incapable of seeing the needs of others around us. And one of the basic psychological realities of life is that when we turn inward in our focus, we start getting moody and depressed, because we're not designed by God to be people who simply gaze on our navel and are always thinking about how things affect us or what is our best interest. We are designed by God to be outward focused and to be givers. In fact, Jesus put it really simply, said it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And that's one of those phrases. We might read it and we might repeat it, but we often don't spend enough time thinking about which is the direction that my life is focused. Is it focused on giving to others, or is it focused inwardly upon myself? And I say this from experience, and I think you can probably identify with it because of your experience as well, that when we get ill and we don't feel well, or we've gone through some difficult circumstances, or we're in relational conflict, I mean, all those things have a way of turning us inward, and we start gazing at ourselves. And there's kind of a spiral that we begin to go. We talk about the snowball going downhill and getting bigger as it rolls. It's kind of like some little issue can suddenly become magnified into this really major thing that simply crushes any joy that we may have had. And we begin to look at the world around us as being a scary, unsafe, unfriendly, threatening place. And we want to hunker down, and we want to pull all of our stuff as close to ourselves and be self-protective as we can. And then we wonder why we're not fulfilled. Well, I just simply would say, because we're not designed by God to do that. He created man in a perfect world, and he created man sinless, and he created him in a situation where he would never have to think about what tomorrow was going to bring. Everything was there. Every day Adam and Eve woke up, they had everything they needed. There was nothing that was lacking. It was only as sin entered in that they began to deal with that idea of something lacking. In fact, that was really part in the heart and essence of Satan's temptation of Eve, when he said that you can have something that you don't have, that God has but you don't have, and in a sense implying that God is holding out on you. And it gets caught up in this whole concept of, finding my best life. And when we do that, there's no more unhappy person than a person who is spending all their time trying to be happy. Happiness is something that, kind of basically surprises us, or I'd say more accurately, as C.S. Lewis put it, that we become surprised by joy. And that's really where life begins to take on a fulfillment, because the joy of the Lord becomes, as Nehemiah said in chapter 8 of his book, the joy of the Lord is my strength. And have you ever noticed that? When you're feeling up and you're feeling good and you feel positive about life, that it seems like you have an energy in you that is able to really kind of cruise through life and take things as they come. And then the other side, when you are thinking about all the things that are wrong and all the things you're missing out on, we start going in the opposite direction. We begin to feel our energy level drops. We feel like we're not as strong or weak. Things we might ordinarily lift with ease now become these heavy burdens that we can hardly carry. So I really want to encourage you to kind of step back and ask yourself that, am I living my life outwardly focused? Am I thinking, as Jesus said, it's more blessed to give, and therefore looking for ways that I can give of myself to other people in a positive way? It can be little things that can have huge impact. It can be the littlest thing of saying, hey, is there some way I can help you? Or how's your day going? Or can I pray for you? I mean, even just being friendly to people in the store, in the market, in the office. There are just a whole lot of people out there I find who never get a friendly word. And that's really sad, because I've just found that I've seen people that look really glum, and I just going, hey, how are you doing? Are you having a good day? Or anything like that. It just kind of lifts those person up, because they realize somebody notices them, that they're there. And what that does is it pulls them out of themselves for a moment, as you pull yourself out of yourself and you begin to interact with them. So I just encourage you, give it a try today. Just to simply, when you're going through the cashier's booth, saying, hey, how's your day? Are things going well for you? And if somebody says, well, I've had a really tough day or difficulty, saying, would you mind if I just prayed for you? And just say a short prayer. God bless this man, bless this woman, and just turn things around so that when they come to the end of this day, their joy will be full. It's more blessed to give, Jesus said, than it is to be on the receiving end. We've got a culture that says you're only happy if you're receiving and receiving and receiving. Jesus said, no, you're only happy in truth when you're giving, and you're giving. So go with that, and I'll pick this up tomorrow. Blessings.